Hello, welcome.
Hello. Oh, there we go.
Hi.
Hello. Let me see if I can get my name switched and then it'll make more sense.
Okay. Need to get your hacker handle there.
Right? I'm very transparent and open. It doesn't bother me, but people will be like, and who is this?
Yeah.
Oh, also with the office, it might not let me change it. That's okay.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, I'm ET or Edna.
Hello, I'm obviously Joseph. Joe knows cyber is my handle. It's ironic. I'm dumb as a post. That's why they put me in charge.
Okay. Did you just join our Discord today?
I did.
Okay. Are you with Blue Team Village?
Yes, I am.
Nice. My friend Randy did a panel with y'all at Defcon this year.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I volunteered with them for, I think, since DC27.
okay. Oh, so that's been a little while. Great.
Yeah. No major roles, just a plebeian doing work where work needs to be done. But
Nice.
good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I do this.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Glad to see y'all.
Yep. I'm all the way over in DC541 in Oregon on the other coast.
Oh, okay. Oregon. Yeah. Well, that's nice. Well, if you or anybody you know ever wants to do a presentation, our meetings are online. So,
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah.
We haven't quite gotten there ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, we just started in October, and it's like a monthly thing.
Oh, I should mute while I'm tap, tap, tap.
Sure. Hello, everybody. Hey, FedEx. Good to see you. And DJ. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, how's it going? Hope you're doing well.
Hey. Yeah, doing good. All right. So you're happy the closed captioning is turned on? Is that helpful?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some hearing problems. So,
Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. Accessibility is great. Hey, FedEx, I could barely hear you. Ha, good evening. So TC should be here in like the next few minutes. All right, I see somebody's in the lounge. Let me find the Zoom link so I can just kind of share it.
oh, that's me. I can
Oh,
move
the
around.
okay. Sorry, I thought somebody was didn't get the right location because we're on Zoom, but if we share the Zoom link like publicly, we end up with a lot of un unfortunate.
Unwanted.
Yes, so there's some people that will join and just troll the meeting. So we have it like come join our Discord, and that's where you get the Zoom. Hey TC, good to see you.
Hello,
Like the
how are you?
background. I'm good. How are you?
I just end of a busy day, but a good way to end it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're glad to have you here.
So that's what we're supposed to do with our piles of stickers from conferences.
Yeah, yeah. You go to your local arts and crafts store and buy a bunch of blank canvases and just start sticking.
That's awesome. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
at a certain point, I'm like, I'm running out of laptops to put these things on.
Oh, I've got a solution there for you too. So before you put the stickers on the lid, put down some clear boxing tape and put all the stickers you want for as long as you want, right? And then when you're ready to change them out or whatever, you can pull the whole panel off. You can stick that to something like a art thing, whatever, you know. But anyway, you preserve your laptop lid as it was, have as it traveled around with you. And you can frame it and say like, oh, I remember those days.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
That is
I've
cool.
actually still got the some Coke spilled on it, but like these were the first year I went to Defcon was Defcon 27. And I showed up with a bunch of stickers on with the thing, right? So I would oh no wait, I put the tape down and then I went to the first day of the con and all the stickers I got I would just stick on, right? And then next I'd rip it off the next day. So I've got two of my lids that at my first DEFCON.
That's so cool.
I
And
love
then
the
someone
telephone
spoke
in the
there.
background too.
I don't know.
I used to have a one that came from the Atlanta Olympics, and I gave it to a neighbor when I lived in California who had actually competed at that Olympics, like as a gift. But I do miss it. We had it at our hackerspace, and we basically like repurposed it as like a VoIP phone
Hmm?
that used like uh, back then it was CDMA or whatever, like a CDMA backhaul. Is that ribbon rack yours on the phone?
Oh yeah, yeah, that's me.
Oh wow, it's a lot of ribbons. What were you, Air Force?
Yeah, yeah, we get one for eating lunch.
Oh yeah, awesome. How long were you in?
I did like 20 years and 6 months.
Okay. Did you do commo stuff there or?
Nope. I started off as a C-130 mechanic, and I transferred to space operations.
Oh, cool, cool. I used to jump out of C-130s, and I actually used to live on Patrick Space Force Base for a bit.
Okay.
Well, I guess it was the Air Force Base back then, but
Yeah. Were you there during the great like housing mold crisis?
no, I think I was there after. I moved from there about, I don't know, a little bit over 2 years ago. I lived there.
Oh, like
There aren't a
yeah,
whole lot of Space Force people there yet,
yeah, back
other
around
than
like
the Air Force guys who were cannibalized.
2012 or so. Uh, how everyone moved to privatized housing, where the housing on base isn't owned by the military or the government. It's owned by a private company, maintained by a private company,
Yeah,
but it's still on the base, right? Well, they had that, and of course, Florida is moist. You get mold sometimes. But then when they would call the company come out and take care of the mold, they either just wouldn't or they would come out and just like paint over it or something like that. It was like this whole like
yeah.
ordeal. And some of the spouses got together and formed basically a little like housing union kind of thing and was like, refusing to pay rent and that kind of stuff. And it was this whole thing. And the Secretary of the Air Force came down and had like a town hall meeting with all the spouses and everything. And I forget her name. Anyway, yeah, it was yeah, I'm spacing on it. Anyway, the Secretary of Air Force was a lady at the time that she came and she heard them out, and then she promised to go back and like do all the stuff. Maybe she wasn't secretary. She was the Air Force secretary, not Secretary of Defense. Secretary of the Air Force. And then like 6 months later, she quit and went to work for the privatized housing company.
Well, they're doing a pretty good job out there these days. I was when I lived there, I lived in one of the uh, where the houses are behind the PX and BX.
Yeah,
It's a great neighborhood. You pretty much hit the ocean with a football. Unfortunately, there's a highway right there.
yeah. Kate and I came down there for Hack Space Con. That was a lot of fun. Got to see a
But did
Falcon
you do any
9.
of this the hacking stuff and public disclosure stuff while you were still in? And if you did, how did the Air Force feel about that? Or they
Yeah.
set some restrictions up?
So I was active duty, but in the reserve. And that was when I discovered that CTFs were something there's a job you could do, right? So I started looking into getting into cybersecurity. Um, and while I was still active duty, I spent like a year at a local school, did a bunch of online stuff, met a guy who was a traveling pen tester, and he took me on as like an apprentice, right? So I would take leave, like a week of leave, and then I would travel with that guy to go do on-site pen testing around 19 or 19, not 19, gosh, I'm not that old. That was in 2011, 2012, something like that. Was when I started doing that. So I'd do like a week of 1099, and I had to register it as like a part-time job or something with the Air Force, and they
Yeah.
didn't care. But I would make more in a week with that guy than like an entire month of E6 pay. Yeah, that's how I got my I guess my proverbial foot in the door was that guy came around to the school I was going to, and he would do like live hacking demonstrations. Um, so he came in one year, did the whole talk and the demo. He had a bunch of books up on the desk. There was like his recommended reading. I went and took pictures of it, bought all the books, did all the reading. A year goes by, the guy comes back, does a different demo, a different talk, and I went to him afterwards. I was like, "Hey, I heard you come when you came last year, and this time, and whatever. Is there any way I could like buy you lunch or something, buy you a coffee or whatever, and you can like maybe hang out and watch you do your work and whatever shadow kind of thing." He said, "Well, no, because there's like NDAs and stuff, like in this contract and whatever." And he goes, "But how about I give you some work to do, some contract work?" And I was like, "Well, man, I don't want to waste your time. I, I have like no actual real work experience, and I don't have any certs, and I'm working on this degree program here, and whatever." So he ended up taking me out to lunch, and it was like a 2 hour long, just picking my brain of like I guess how I thought or something. And he goes, "All right, well, I'll take you on as an apprentice." Um, so it was just I, kind of fell backwards lucky into it. And then I got my first real pen testing job, and they fired me 6 weeks later. That's a cool story too. Um,
I know a few people joined. We're just kind of doing pre-show banter for a few minutes, and then we'll start like around 8-ish. I know sometimes people come in a little bit after. So, TC, if you want to start at like 8:05 or something, that would be cool.
okay.
All right, awesome. Hey, Rob, good to see you.
Hey,
Oh,
Rob, guess what I just did? He's probably not even there, is he? He probably just logged in and walked away.
he's there. He's
Oh, there
just
he is.
getting himself situated.
I'm here.
Guess what I did like 30 minutes ago?
You fixed file beat?
I fixed FileBeat. Yep. Who else we got here? Um, I want to apologize in advance if anyone like if I seem to not remember folks because I'm terrible at remembering folks if I don't talk to you like once a week. So sorry about that.
I really like that Defcon logo with the Disney font.
Oh,
Matches
yeah.
up perfectly.
Yeah,
I don't know who did that, but
Rob
yeah,
made that.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and our logo is Happiest Hacks on Earth.
Do we have any actual Disney employees here tonight?
I don't think we could tell you.
Ah.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, man. And every time I go into Orlando or just like the general area, every night, like I meet at least one Disney person.
Yeah, they seem to be everywhere, but it's a big employer. So,
I just want them to fix the parking situation over by the House of Blues. I tried to go to concerts there and just getting in and out of that place it takes as long as the concert does.
Yeah. Hey, Dustin. And hi, I think Sophia. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Um, we'll be starting in just a few minutes. We're just doing our pre-show banter. So feel free to ask questions or share some cool facts. Oh, first meeting. Well, welcome. Glad to have you. Um, so our next in-person meeting should be on the 28th. I keep waiting for the final confirmation on it. But we have these two meetings, the online and in person, are kind of related this month because Rob's going to be talking about Veilid and with Greylag, I think. Is that right, Rob? Yeah. Okay. So very cool. I'm very excited about that one. These two meetings are going to be awesome, hand in hand.
I just think it's fun when other people talk about Veilid.
Hmm?
I think it's fun when other people talk about Veilid.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Get the word out.
We're hearing more and more instances of the name coming up, like in planning meetings and stuff and
Hmm.
all that.
Yeah. I think it's got a lot of really cool applications. Like, I would like to see more like healthcare applications based on Veilid. That would be cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of the use cases we've postulated on. But I mean, you hear me say it's probably in the talk too, but like it just moves data. You know,
Hmm.
the biggest thing Veilid does for you is it abstracts away having to worry about encryption at rest and encryption in transit and all these kind of things. Those things just happen naturally.
Yeah,
If you want to move data around and you want it to be private, that's the arena we're trying to get into.
absolutely.
I'm going to be back in just 1 minute.
Sure. Hey, Pond Muncher, glad to see you. Looks like 70s strut there. 70s. Is that a guitar thing? Hey,
Okay, my audio should be better now.
yes, I can hear you now.
Awesome, awesome.
How are you?
Really great. Working a little bit in some projects in the house. There's always something to do when you own an old home.
Yeah,
But other than that, it's excited for 2025. Hope everybody had a great end of the year and looking forward to what are we gonna do this year. I can tell you one thing, I'm looking forward to Defcon 2025.
I am also looking forward to Defcon 2025. Do you know? Okay, I'm going to tell you something. Um, I got, I haven't put it on LinkedIn or anything yet, but I'm now one of the organizers of Defcon. So very excited about that.
Whoa, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So now we do have officially a local Defcon uh location. I also
Yes.
heard that they want to bring it to San Diego. Maybe Wade Wales will be TA in that one, so that's exciting that it's growing that way.
Yeah. I'm just clarifying for everybody that I'm saying DEFCON and not DEFCON because they sound very similar. But DEFCON is the Detection, Engineering, and Threat Hunting Conference.
Oh, the Thornton conference. I see.
Yes, but instead of Threatening Conference, it's DEFCON because that's cooler. Yeah. Defcon Aruba would be cool. Yeah. If somebody wants to plan that. All right, SCTC is back. So welcome, TC. Are you ready to start?
Yep, I'm just trying to get this slideshow blown up so we can do the screen share. Give me a second
All right.
here.
Awesome. I will mute out and let you take it away.
Thanks. Well, hello everyone. Thank you for having me here. Um, I really hope this is kind of more of an update than anything else. Caitlin and I were able to come down to B-Sides Orlando. Gosh, I think was it even last year? It was last year sometime, but it was the last one. So I don't know how many of you were there and heard the talk then, but I'm going to present on some of the basics of the Veilid framework and give some updates on what we've been doing since we were down there and just in the last few months. And hopefully, if you haven't heard about Veilid, you leave with some cool information and you're excited about this. And if you have heard about it and you're fretting that maybe we weren't doing anything or we quit or something, I assure you haven't. We're still around. Let me just pop this in the presenter mode, and I think I can share my screen. Share. Like this, like, no, you can't sign. Oh, I got to open system settings. I got to give something permissions. Thank you, Apple, for making me opt into absolutely everything. That's good, right? Let's try it now. I am sorry, everybody. I should have test ran this before I installed Zoom before I joined the chat, and then I didn't actually test run it to make sure that it was going to work.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, we're pretty chill. It's okay.
Oh, but it has to be pretty pictures though. Okay, let's see. Using the React button on the bottom, how many folks here have heard of Veilid and are aware the project exists? Got a few. Okay, good, good. A lot of newbies though, which is really awesome too. Okay, well then in that case, I think we have more folks that haven't heard about it than have. So I'll just start back at the beginning. Um, Once upon a time, fire was created. And since then, humans have been doing terrible things to each other, probably even before then, with fire and then with sticks, and then later on with packets, right? Got all the way down the chain to using what could have been a beautiful thing, the internet, and turning it into a data capitalism, anti-privacy nightmare, where in which we all use cool, fancy platforms for free, but actually we are the product. During all this, in the rise of the internet and the journey to the information era, there was a small, scrappy group of nerds that called themselves the Cult of the Dead Cow. Um, you might know them from some of their greatest hits like Backwarfus and Backwarfus 2K and Hong Kong Blondes and whatever nefarious things they got into in the late 80s and through the 90s. One of their number, Dildog, who also was the writer of BO2K, he had this idea. He was looking around at the landscape of privacy tools and privacy networks and whatever. And he just seeing what was out there, and he knew in his brain what he wanted the ideal privacy focused, encryption focused protocol would look like. But he thought, surely someone's already doing this or has already done this, right? So he starts looking around at DHT projects and Tor and other kinds of, obfuscated routing techniques and just things that are out there. And he's like, okay, well, that one's pretty good. And that one's pretty good, but, they're missing this or they're missing that. And he thought, well, what if I just put these things in a blender? But instead of doing the thing where you grab a bunch of projects and just like bolt them together, he went all the way down to the baseline and decided to write the entire thing from scratch. Um, that was around the time that my so Caitlin and she was inducted into Culture Day Cal, and all that really fun stuff came along with that. And the big part that came with that was Dildog telling her like, "Hey, I got this idea, and I think it'd be really cool for things like social unrest and secure communications during like big emergency outages and whatever." And of course that picked her brain, and so they start talking about it, and then she drags me in to be kind of an interpreter because he speaks one language and she speaks another, and all this kind of thing. And so I got to be fly on the wall and get involved with it. I like to call myself the Ronald Wayne of Veilid. If you know who Ronald Wayne is, no one's laughing. I don't think though. So you don't know who he is, and that's the whole point. That's the joke. He was the third. There's three people that founded Apple, not just the two Steves. There was a Ronnie also. No one knows about him, so that's me. We started whiteboarding this probably 5 years ago now. Just doing some thought experiments, measuring all the bad things people could do with this kind of thing. How is that weighed by all the good things that could happen? And we so many times we got to that philosophical debate of, was it good the hammer was invented? We chewed on it for quite some time, and we came to the conclusion that the good that could happen, the positive it would bring to the world, would outweigh any possibility of people being people, because you can't stop people, right? And Veilid is what we came up with. Veilid is a kind of a combination name, like veiling your ID or valid ID. Those are the concepts we were floating around, and Caitlin, with the creative mind, came up with the name and logo that encompassed all these concepts that we were trying to. How can you validate someone as who they are, but also protect from them knowing who you are, and all this. What we came with Veilid. Actually, I'm going to try to share my screen one more time because the diagrams really help. It is not granting access still. I
You
might have to
rejoin the
I might have to close Zoom and open it up again.
Yeah.
Are there any permissions that you need? Because I thought we gave you.
It's not Zoom stopping me. It's the whole thing where Apple keeps new applications from touching disk until you give them explicit permission.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
if you are on Apple, you have to go to the settings and make sure that you give permission to Zoom to access the files and share screen and everything. So it might make you restart the application.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you do have to restart it. I'm pretty sure, unfortunately.
Not the computer, but the application itself.
Yeah,
So
I
you
got you.
have to
Yeah,
close-
just
yeah.
just Zoom. It's just Zoom. Let me share my screen. I'll show you what I see. No, wait, I can't do that. All right. Anyway, I just changed the setting. It does say I have to quit and reboot, or quit and reopen. So give me like 30 seconds here, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. We'll have some trivia here.
All right. So, what are your trivia questions, Dustin?
Let's see. Who here remembers back orifice BO2K?
I remember that.
I do.
I have a special coin.
Oh,
for
you
it.
have oh no.
Yeah, I have
You
the
have a
challenge
coin?
coin.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Good
Yeah.
times.
We could do port math like we did at Hacker Jeopardy. That was fun.
Yeah, back orifice definitely got installed on a lot of computers at my school back in the day.
Yeah.
Same here.
That was my first experience with security too, was my other buddy who was already doing hacking beforehand in our IRC channel was like, hey, check out this program. It's awesome. Now look what I can do. Like, what is this dark magic? And that was right down the rabbit hole.
Yep.
Quick question, you guys are well, CDC was a crew that goes back many, many years. Whatever happened to Rhino 9?
Oh man, so that's a name I don't know. Real quick, did it share? Is the screen sharing?
Yeah,
Yay.
it's
Yes.
showing.
Yay.
We
It's
see it
working.
now.
I mean, I would check the CDC website. They have an entire roster on there, and it'll tell you like if there's a former member that retired or whatever. There.
That wasn't it wasn't a CDC member. Rhino
Oh,
9 was like another crew that was releasing tools and specifically like remote control and monitoring tools kind of around the time that Back Orifice came out.
yeah, I don't know that one specifically. There were a few that came out around the same time. I think like anything, people got the idea of exploring the undocumented Windows API independently all around the same time and said, "Oh, that's interesting. That there's the CD tray API, and that kind of thing." So, I don't know specifically. I think you might know if you're on Blue Sky, hit up Death Veggie. He knows everything about all the past crews and all that. All right, so what happened to my presenter panel now? Yeah, can I click here? There we go. Okay, all right, here we go. So we talked about that and we talked about that. Here we go. So Veilid network. Veilid is a few different things. That term is an umbrella term for a couple of things. We've got the Veilid protocol, which is the network protocol, which builds the Veilid network. But also the core of Veilid is that it is a application development framework. The the nucleus of the whole thing is a Rust package, a Rust crate called Veilid-core. Any application that's built with Veilid core is a node on the Veilid network because Veilid core contains the Veilid protocol that causes applications to go out and find other nodes that creates the Veilid network. See how it's all starting to come together that way. It is an open source project under MPL. The goal is for, like I said, developers to build applications with Veilid. Um, when I talked about the different technologies that might have come together to build this, if you've heard of IPFS, you've heard of Tor, you're going to see some very common terms throughout this talk. Um, Everything about it is fully distributed and fully end-to-end encrypted. We have like one itsy bitsy teeny tiny point of kind of pseudo centralization in that a new node has to make a DNS call when it first starts its life. Other than that, the entire network is fully decentralized. But we're not doing any kind of proof of work type stuff to join. So there's no blockchain, there's no smart contracts, nothing like that. Um, I know that we have there's some competing projects out there that are doing great work in different ways. But like one of them in general, like if you want to run a network support node, you have to first buy their coin and prove like that's how you get the software. It's open source. You install the source, and then you have to like buy so much of their coin, and then put the receipt in the config file, and then you can run the software. Um, so nothing like that. There's nothing to invest in other than time and whatever cloud machine fees you rack up. Um, the and then the languages we're working in, like I said, it's a Rust crate for Veilid core, but we've already put out bindings for Flutter and Dart over FFI, and that's how we build our first application, which is Veilid Chat, which we'll get to at the end of all this. So we set a few goals. Like I said, we're all security nerds that started this thing. So obviously we want to think from a security first perspective, try to make it secure and correct the first time. As anyone can guess, that's a stupid goal because there's no such thing as perfect security, and even the best among us are going to miss stuff sometimes, as evidenced by Veilid already has 2 CVEs out there. And we've had a few active exploits against the protocol since we launched it. Um, but we love that kind of stuff. And if you jump into our source or you start poking at the network and you find things, we will support you 100% in getting that CVE number. And even if you give us some POC code to go along with it, we have a folder in the code repository where we store the POCs for the exploits for our own vulnerabilities. That way, when we release a patch, the POC code is in there, and it's like if you don't update, that's kind of on you. It's open source. We can't force you to update, but we're also handing out the POC to hack your node. So little incentive there to keep up to date on your Veilid version. Sorry. We want to run this thing everywhere. We don't want to leave any platform behind. So with Rust and the compile bindings, you can cross compile for all kinds of different operating systems. And then Flutter is also one of those languages where you write your application, you can compile it for Windows desktop or iOS, Android. We try to keep things across every platform. We don't want to leave anybody out. We're using standard protocols. Veilid protocol just flows over TCP, UDP, and WebSockets. And everything about Veilid is self-contained. So you're going to hear the term onion routing here in a little bit, and you're going to think, okay, Tor, right? So you've got entry nodes and exit nodes, and you traverse across. Not with us. There's no entry or exit to a Veilid network. It just is. Like your application either is part of the network or it's not part of the network. There's no like handshake to get in. It just is. And then every packet is signed, every packet is encrypted. Um, if a node is out there trying to hand out packets that it did not sign, or that it can't prove original ownership of, or does other things that we've captured as weird, suspicious behavior, then they will fall into a zone called punishment, where the nodes they talk to that see this bad behavior will just say, "Sorry, I'm not talking to you anymore." And that's how we try to keep the network pure and keep the traffic flowing in a way that is privacy focused. And it's a very low latency network, especially right now. It'll grow over time, but right now the only data being passed back and forth is like kilobytes, right? It's very, very small for the DHT entries. So we're seeing, obviously that's pretty low level. So not a lot of latency there. However, if you end up installing Veilid Chat, hopefully towards the end of all this, then you're going to think this is the slowest, stupidest app I've ever used. It's beta. It's beta, okay? It's beta. So we'll get there. All right. All right, talked about so back in the history thing, once we decided we were ready to go with this and we start, working on code and working on getting ideas together of how we're going to unveil this thing out to the world, we decided to stand ourselves up as a nonprofit. So I didn't quit my job, and Dildog didn't quit his job, and Caitlin didn't quit her job. We all still work, outside the house, metaphorically speaking. I work from home. And we kept the day jobs, and that's why it's taken 5 years to get here, because we work on it as we can. Family comes first and all that. But we did organize as a nonprofit just because we saw this as a benefit for civil rights and human rights. So we opened ourselves up as a charity to support the protocol. And then we also stood up a Discord community. We all hang out too. Obviously, we understand the looks a little weird. We have to making a communication protocol, but use someone else's platform. Once we build something better, we'll start using that. But Discord is where people gather these days, and our Discord community is just a pinch under 3,500 people right now. So, good place to hang out if you want to see Veilid stuff. This is Ellet. Ellet's a brick. Bricks are cool because, a brick by itself can be a lot of things. It can be a builder and it can be a breaker. You get a bunch of Ellets together and you start stacking them up and linking them together, they become nearly indestructible. So the brick is the official mascot of Veilid, and that we're trying to build something that will hopefully be used in a good way to tear down things that are bad, but be indestructible at the same time. So since we came down to Florida last time, like I said, Discord's still blowing up. It's around coming up on 4,000 people. We have documentation now. One of the biggest things we all knew was wrong with it about a year ago was there were no docs with Veilid. So we got our Rust docs working to publish out that, and we've also written some books. Our community actually has been doing this. We have some very devoted volunteers that maintain some separate GitLab repositories and are writing the developer book and internals book. And we are so thankful for them to put that time in for us. And then we have a bunch of guides on GitLab as well, a lot of technical improvements. We're still working on our WASM support. WASM is used for like browser to browser communication. And we've changed out the DHT, added some features to it where now you can publish and subscribe to DHTs versus having to just poll every single time. And then, like I said, we had a few vulnerabilities come up. We had a DOS via the WebSockets. Um, we felt we could do better with our domain separations for how we were doing some of the encryption, and then another vulnerability with unbounded decompression. One of these, the person came to us and gave us the actual POC, and you can find that in our GitLab. So go back to what Veilid is. Veilid looks a little like this. It followed my share, right? Okay, good. This is where the onion routing concept, that's a little familiar, might come up. In its most secure state on Veilid, when two nodes are communicating with each other, they're using what we call a safety route and a private route to form a combined route, so that no endpoint knows the IP from which the communication came from. You only know what's to the left and to the right of you. What's different about this is, like I said, there's no entry to the network and no exit from the network. So you could never use this to do like, HTTP proxying like you would on Tor. The purpose isn't to use the existing internet in a private way. The purpose is to create this realm where privacy is focused. And this gets more into the technical of what those envelopes look like. But you can see it does the standard onion routing kind of thing where it peels back the envelope the deeper it gets, so that the original message for the recipient is only available to them on their end. So, with the DHT, a DHT is just a searchable record of keys and values. The keys are hashes versus just like 1, 2, 3, or 4, whatever, which is why it's a distributed hash table. And the way Veilid is set up with its DHT is that every entry is signed and encrypted so that only the intended recipients can decrypt that key in the DHT. That's how chat basically works. In Veilid Chat, when you start a chat with somebody, whoever starts the chat, their node on their phone had set up a safety route and established a DHT record out there on a different node somewhere, and set it up so that the person who's being invited can come into the same DHT record and update it. So you're both just publishing updates to this DHT record, and then getting back to changes when they come down. But the way our routing is set up, where the DHT record lives, which is on somewhere between 3 and 5 unique nodes, you may or may not be updating the same DHT cache. You may be on cache A where the person talking is on cache B. And even then, cache A and B can't see your IP addresses because you're coming through that routing protocol. And even if that broke down somehow, the data that's in the DHT record has no link back to the node IDs from which they originated. So the node ID, your node ID, is never used in a way that secures the data or the communication. So one of the windows people see that makes them kind of pause is if you run a Veilid headless node like in DigitalOcean or AWS, there's a CLI interface for it that you can open the CLI and see the status of your node that you're running. At the very bottom, you see node ID, IP address, node ID, IP address. And that's just give you that information because that's there on your machine. If we hid it from you, you could just go look at, SS or something and find it yourself. But also, just because you're seeing a node ID and an IP address there, you could be in a conversation over a Veilid application with whoever is using that node ID, but your communication chain would never see the node ID. And only the node ID sees the IP address. So are you seeing how you can't really, it's all broken apart. We did that because we felt like if the network does that kind of operation naturally, then application developers who want to build a private app don't have to think about it. If the Veilid network and the Veilid protocol, becomes popular enough where people have looked at the code and they've done testing and different voices of sanity and confidence say like, yes, it's good. We trust it. It's good. Then app developers can use it. They can just have the idea of what they want to do and use the Veilid network as the transport to make it happen. We think there's a future for like a distributed social media network over Veilid. We think that'd be pretty cool. And it can already be used to store content. So full disclosure, I'm not a good enough programmer to build a Veilid app from scratch using the Veilid core library. Perhaps some of you are, but I'm more of a Stack Overflow coder. I just copy and paste Python, and I bolt it all together. So Veilid has a Python library, which is pretty cool, which I can use. But if you right now grab the Rust crate, some Rust, you built around it, you could make your own note-taking app right there on your phone. The notes get backed up into the Veilid network, and only you'd be able to see it because you're the writer and the reader, and that would be perfectly safe and secure. That would work today. Some future use cases we've heard people talk about in the chat. Decentralized wiki, an alternative to Slack. Patient portals for like medical stuff. I don't know much about HIPAA from a requirements on their end. I know obviously encryption's got to be there, but I don't know if the encryption we're using would pass their check because we're using some of the more we're using a very good crypto profile, but it would not pass FIPS. We'll say it that way, right? It's not the government recommended ones, but you can see that in our documents as well. And the same thing with any privileged chat, like a lawyer chat could happen on Veilid. Some projects people have made. There's someone's trying to recreate the benefits of Tailscale on Veilid. Someone wrote a Veilid connector for the Bevy game engine and made a chess app to play chess over Veilid. This is probably one of the more clever I saw that at least made me smile. Do you remember ASCII Star Wars on Telnet? Now, it's actually still up today. If you look up Blinking Lights, I think it was called. I think the Telnet is still up, where you connect to a Telnet socket and it's Star Wars: A New Hope in animated ASCII. It's really awesome. Someone was able to grab the ASCII project and they hosted it on a Veilid node, and so it's like a script you run that connects you to Veilid, and then you see the ASCII and all that. It was pretty neat. This is Telveil. Just giving some screenshots of that. NetDog. This is the chess one, right? So you can play chess with a person over Veilid. And there's the Star Wars ASCII. That's on Tatooine, I think. Or is that, no, is that on a ship? I don't know. I can't tell. But here's our pride and joy, Veilid Chat. This is our flagship application that we are developing in concert with Veilid. Right now, Veilid Chat is a person-to-person chat, so it's just one-on-one. It doesn't support video or audio or pictures, and notifications don't work. And also, it's kind of slow and unreliable, but it works. We released this at Defcon, this previous Defcon. We opened up the beta, so it is downloadable in iOS Test Flight and the Google Play Store. There's some things you might have to do to enroll in the beta first. So if you go to veilid.com/chat/beta, that will have instructions there for you. And then, of course, it's open source. So if you wanted to check out the source yourself, it's on GitLab in the Veilid group under Veilid Chat. Actually, these are kind of some old screenshots, but when you install Veilid Chat and you open it for the first time, first it's going to give you a very, very pretty reminder that it's a beta application. And then in the background, in the app itself, it's creating a Veilid node. Your phone will now be a node on the Veilid network. So then it wants to know from you some basic information. But all of that information is just stored right there on your phone. It's not used to saying account profile can be misunderstood, I guess. There's no account. You're not registering with us. You're not registering with Veilid. You're just calling yourself whatever you want to call yourself. And then when you connect with someone, that information is exchanged with them. But it's not we're not collecting any user data. There's no user database. You'll see. So then you can also create multiple accounts in the same Veilid app. We don't have the sharing stuff working quite yet. So if you install it on 2 different devices, it's going to be 2 different identities. There is some localization support. You can, of course, use pins and passwords to lock things. And then one of the things we're pretty proud of is there are a lot of built-in color themes to just make it pretty, make it your own. So yeah, we all see. I love, who doesn't love Cory Doctorow coming up with a killer phrase of the enshittification of the internet. It keeps getting further and further warped and messed up by the billionaires that own the bedrock, I guess, of the internet, right? How much of the internet is on AWS? So Jeff Bezos kind of runs the internet. We want to make something that if someone has a killer idea, a killer app idea, a killer community idea, whatever it is, that they don't have to go crawling to the VCs, and they don't have to go into massive debt or whatever just to pay the AWS bill or whatever the infrastructure is that's going to support their thing. We want them to have the freedom to build something that only costs that little bit that it costs to share on the network. The cost of Veilid is participation. As a node on the network, you participate in distributing the data and storing some data and all of this. So instead of a 6-figure AWS bill to host your SaaS application, your application just could be on the Veilid network instead, and abstract away some of that cost of handing money over to the billionaires. And also, while we can't say no one can not charge for an app, or we can't say no one can put ads in their app because we're just kind of not in charge, right? We put this thing out there open source. The library is out there. We can't really stop anyone from making what they want to make. What we can do is do our best to at least let people know the status of the environment out there. So one idea that we had as the foundation is like a report card, kind of system where as we learn a new Veilid app exists, we'll add it to the list on our website, and we can say like is or is not open source, does or does not have ads, requires account registration, whatever it is, things that might make us a little concerned about that app, just so people have a place to look to see what's going on the network. But we hope that by abstracting away a lot of the cost of infrastructure and time and resources and understanding how to do cryptography right and things of that nature, we're hoping that we're de-incentivizing how like just every little click is monetized. That people will want to make a living off what they're doing, but maybe they'll be okay with finding more ethical ways of doing that and not ways that kind of sneak money by just selling you as advertisement data. Yeah, all we're missing is you. right? This is our hope that we come together and make something pretty awesome. We have quite a few contributors over in the GitLab, but it's not just coding we're looking for. We're also looking for constructive conversations over in the Discord, uh, discussions on what could be made or what could be better or what could be different. Hey, if you know anything about CI/CD, I'd love to talk to you. I've created this monster of a pipeline over in GitLab that whenever we push a new version release, it's automated away all the building of Debian packages and Fedora packages and all these things and distributes everything. And I probably did it like 1,000 ways harder than what I could be doing. So if you know anything about CI/CD, we need that. People who love writing, people who love hearing one of the biggest brains in the world tell you how his thing works, and you have to translate that into what people understand. We need that. Um, we everything you can think of to make a project a good project. If you have that kind of skill set, then come talk to us and hang out, and we'll see how we can get things rolling with you. And like I said, we are a nonprofit, so if your companies, your jobs, if they have one of those things where they will give to nonprofits or whatever, uh, our operating costs are like $500 a month, maybe, if that. Like it's so minuscule. Again, because we don't want infrastructure, we don't want all that important stuff, or expensive stuff. So yeah, another way to contribute is donate to a nonprofit. So list of our investors, or no, I said contribute and investing came up. Our contributors, people writing books, people have been, Retroid came in. If you know him, he's got quite a reputation for tearing things down, and he helped us find some flaws early on. Um, have had some help with CI/CD. These folks are just jumping in and learning and helping out however they can. And here's the various places you can find us. We've got the website, veilid.com, lots of great information there. We're on Blue Sky, we're still over on Twitter, Mastodon, obviously Discord and GitLab as well. And that is officially it for the slides. Let's see, I think I had some more things I was going to show too. Yeah, here's the site for Veilid Chat Beta. Like I said, there's some instructions there that you might have to follow, like a certain link from your Android device. Some people have had success just finding Veilid Chat on Google Play, but some people have to use the enroll link first, so your mileage may vary. This is the main GitLab repository. So it's got a pretty robust README in here. We've got install instructions. Yeah, so if you have a Debian machine, you want to run a headless node to help bolster the network. We have a Debian package for that on a private repository. So just add it to apt and install it. Same thing for Fedora. We've got the DNF instructions here and how to get that going. And then there's steps here if you want to set up your own dev environment. So if you want to understand the dependencies and the build environment required, we use a build system called Earthly. So there's instructions on how to get Earthly installed and make it where you can output your own packages for your own local testing. Let's see. Here's our this is what Rob and I were doing, and this is Rob's work. Like Rob did like 102% of this. I just kind of had thoughts and ideas, and I just that's my skill set. What this is showing us is that on our package repository, we've had 8 downloads over the past 7 days. But this is the neatest thing I think that we came up with. We have a blog post about this over on the Veilid website. One of the challenges we had was that we don't know the state of the network. We didn't build any kind of analytical tools or health and status call homes or nothing like that. So we knew people were running Veilid servers because we could open our own Veilid server and see that we're connected to like 200 other servers. But we didn't know are they keeping their nodes up to date, and how often are they coming and going and things like that. So one concept we came up with is to use the package repository as a part of the cocktail to make a guess as to what versions are out there running and if they're updating. And the basic way that works is if a um, so the package repository is sending its logs to Graylog, and then our nodes are sending their logs into Graylog as well. And we were doing that mostly so we could see once we released Veilid Chat, we wanted to see what happened on the network as far as like our nodes system resources. And I wanted to be able to see that in a nice dashboard. And I knew Rob worked at Graylog and he helped me out. So if our package repository someone downloads Veilid server, obviously the Nginx server there can see the IP address that got it. That IP address is hashed just to, try to, it's like pulling back a little, cover to help someone maintain privacy. But the data that exists on our Graylog machine is that unique hash. And then the same thing happens on the node logs where I told you how like you can see node ID and IP address, right? So again, hash the IP and then just match the hashes. Um, if a server has downloaded, say, 044, and then we saw traffic on nodes after that, then they never came back and got 041, then you can reasonably assume that they're on 044, right? And then if you see them download from the package server again, you can see that they now have 041, and you can see they upgraded. This was a very, very like just a gee whiz kind of thing to see what's going on. It's actually probably going to be vastly deprecated once one thing we've decided is that Veilid nodes need to advertise the version that they're running in a way that they can know if they're compatible with another node. Because as things evolve, if you fall behind the update cycle, you might stop being compatible with the way a function works, or there might be new functions you don't have. So we need nodes to be able to talk to each other to say, can I talk to you correctly, and all that. So we might start broadcasting version anyway. You can see our latest version is 041, and we've got around 91 nodes out there running 041. Handful of people still running 034. Shake my fist. And then you see these numbers here to start with the year 2024. A while back, we do have a very slow release cycle. So some folks were asking if we could speed things up. What I decided to do was start a nightly build. So I had that complex CI/CD system that for a tagged release, like 041 builds 041. But also every night it grabs whatever's on the main branch and packages it up and puts it out as a nightly release. So if you want the absolute bleeding edge Veilid version, those same install instructions have how you do the nightly builds versus the release builds. What else can we see here? We can see, what do you think, Rob? Any other interesting dashboards I should show off? Yeah, data still.
I've been helping the sick and injured under one lieutenant.
Is that a question? Oh, probably background noise, huh? Okay. All right, so that's out. And with that, I guess I'll just open it up to questions. That's a whole lot of information about a very, very complex thing that I could probably talk about for another 2 whole more hours and barely scratch the surface. But I'm open up. What questions do you have about it?
Hey, I've got a question. Has there been any consideration around like de-anonymization by, let's say, like combining a Sybil attack, which is an attack where if anybody's not familiar with the term, where you control a bunch of nodes essentially through pseudonyms, and the more nodes that you control on the chain of encryption, because these envelopes are essentially getting peeled off, to combine that along with like the advertisement of patch level. and looking at the timing of that. So you notice, oh, this node is now advertising that it changed its patch level, and has there been any consideration like for mitigation techniques, like make sure, you know, that it can what's the best way to phrase this? Um, when you advance a patch level, that you can still read and send for a patch level above and or a patch level below, and then like delay the timing of advertising when you change your patch level to mitigate that.
Sure. So you asked two really big questions in there, and I think I have solid answers for both of them. First off, the patch, the version advertisement stuff is still just like on the whiteboard, so we haven't exactly nailed down how we're going to do that. Like one idea is that instead of doing the version number, like the 04 whatever, we could maybe somehow fingerprint or version the actual capabilities of Veilid. Veilid Core has a set of capabilities that you can turn on or off in the config. So a node already advertises what capabilities are active on that node. We're looking to add to that like the version of that capability. So you're right, it could be used for fingerprinting a node. But that goes to the bigger question, which is, can Veilid withstand a Sybil attack? A Sybil attack at its very core, I guess, is you own enough of the network that you can see enough of the traffic to be able to make assertions or uncover information. It's like the 51% attack also. In that scenario, like Tor, we'll look at Tor. Tor relies on volunteers running Tor nodes to sustain the network. That's an extra thing. If you're a user of Tor, you're not a contributor to the Tor network. You're a consumer of the Tor network, right? And basically every other network type out there does the same thing. Just because you're traversing it doesn't mean you're contributing back to it. So the network is just the network. And if someone buys out half of it or adds in, doubles it up and owns half of it, then that's something that you have to find mitigations for. In our realm, every single user of the network is a contributor to the network. The concept that every new user is a new node makes the network grow along with how many people are using it, right? This also benefits apps in scale. If Veilid Chat grows to 1,000 users, right? 1,000 real-time, always up chatting kind of users. And then someone else writes an app that's just like, they want to make a small chat for their family or whatever. Then the smaller app can use all the same nodes as those 1,000 Veilid Chat nodes. And the 1,000 Veilid Chat nodes can use the smaller apps nodes. They all talk the same language, so they all help each other share data. Because the network grows that way, we don't know how someone could do that. They couldn't just go buy 1,000 AWS servers and run Veilid server and own half the network, because the minute some other app overtook that, then that app owns the network or whatever. But no one ever owns the network because, again, everything is signed and encrypted and IP obfuscated. So long answer to say, yes, we do think about those things a lot. And we've had some fears that there were some de-anonymization opportunities on the protocol, but then squashed them back right away. Like we have a CVE out there about that right now. So yes, privacy is paramount, and we do whatever we can to make sure that we're thinking around demasking. Now, that being said, if you think of something like that, yeah, bring it up in the chat. Come over to Discord. We'll talk it through, and you can probably get a much better, more technical answer if Dildog's around answering questions. What else? Any other questions? Anyone want to? Has anyone downloaded Veilid Chat while we're talking about all this? Anyone poking at it right now?
I tried, but it said that the beta on the Play Store is closed.
No, it's not. I updated it.
Okay.
Hey, Google Play Store is like hard. They make you jump through so many hoops to get things done.
So it says the early access program is currently full. Space may open up later.
Ah, okay, that's a different problem.
What are you
So,
showing, Rob? Oh,
this is Veilid Chat.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, because the lowest number we could put in for the beta was 1,000 users, and I checked it last week and it was like 900 and something. So that's probably what happened.
You ran out of spots.
And it's a good problem to have.
Yes.
Now, like I said, Veilid Chat is a very rough experience at the moment. We've already identified like the places in DHT that we need to make a little more efficient, but we're getting what we expected. We have been running Veilid Chat on our phones for a few months, or close to a year, I guess. Oh yeah, a year, right about a year. We've been running Veilid Chat on our phones before last Defcon. So before we opened it to the public, we had already been using it for about a year. And we're like, okay, it works pretty good, right? It worked pretty good for like 5 people, and then like when all these nodes exploded into the network, and that's exactly what we wanted to see is like, okay, it works fine for 5 people. How does it work for 50 or 100 or whatever? And it's exactly what we wanted to happen. Was we're like, okay, there's work to do. See, testing, open testing.
Have you thought about putting it on F-Droid as well?
Yes, F-Droid I will be going to likely after we hit V1. They don't have some of the granular controls we're currently using on iOS and Android as far as limiting how many people can get the binary right now. And then their primary way of doing business is you provide the source code, and then F-Droid actually compiles it and all that. And while yes, we're open source, our build system is a little weird, so it's not compatible with how they do that.
That's a shame.
Also, have y'all thought about integrating a auto update?
Yes, yes. I mentioned how one of our ongoing struggles is, are people updating?
Right.
How can we encourage people to update? How can we make updating easier for them? But we also don't want to introduce points of centralization. We want
Okay.
Veilid to be able to survive if we disappear. And so right now the update process could be smoothed out a little bit probably. If you're running Debian or Fedora, it's standard Debian and Fedora stuff. If you're building your own project around Veilid Core, currently, if we push out a new Veilid Core, you would have to grab it, integrate it into your project, and recompile and release a new version yourself. But we would love to game out how like an over-the-wire update could look. How can we do a thing where the builds are, I don't know, reproducible or something, so you can match hashes so that you know that if you're getting an update from this unknown node, you can check it against something to let you know that that's valid. There had to be some way to prove something is the real thing without having a central authority to prove it from, and that's the big challenge we have.
I I would take a play or a page from Bitcoin and to where a few nodes or every node has 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 sort of like a log of every action, and and that's how it can be verified, because the logs would update with a hash, and it would compare a hash, and if the hash is on the list, then it is considered verified.
Right, right. Yeah. What we'd have to really nail down is how do we do that in a way that isn't burning up computation on nodes needlessly, but the hashes aren't coming from a central authority. But yeah, I see the logic and the flow on that, and I appreciate the input. If you want to, I'm gonna keep saying this too. I'm like I'm hijacking members, but please do come over to the Veilid Discord, and Dildog is in there like every day talking to people. So the
I already
idea for
have.
sorry,
I already have.
excellent, excellent, excellent. Yeah, he's always wide open to that conversation, and I'm sure he'd love to pull it apart with you.
All right. Cool.
Let's see. So it says I have 961 active testers out of 1,000. I'm gonna bump it up to 1,500 just to see if maybe that's where's the save button? Oh, I can't just change it. I have to do a whole new release to change it. See, I told you it's not as easy as it should be.
While you're looking into that, I've got a quick question for you.
Sure.
Is that an Ingve strat or is that an actual 70 strat?
It's a
over your right
78.
shoulder? Oh, okay. Yeah. Sunburst or hardtail?
No, it's actually very not vintage. Because it's like black sparkle finish on it.
Oh, I see some pickups on there. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I got some Texas specials up here and a hot rails down here, 1K pots, aftermarket bridge. I forget who made it. Who did make that? I should know that.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to digress. I just saw the
fine, you're
headstock.
fine.
I just saw the headstock. I've got a 75 hardtail, so I recognized the shape.
Yeah, so it's very much a player's guitar. It's actually got it's my signature model.
There you go. Thank you for sharing, and definitely going to check out Vel. Looks very interesting.
Thanks. I will try to get the Veilid Chat beta stuff. We always need an excuse to do a release, so I'll see about doing a new release on Veilid Chat and get that number bumped up. But we have a channel over on the Discord where once you get Veilid Chat installed, if you want someone to talk to, jump in that chat, coordinate with each other, and you can share the invite. One of you can share with the other one, whatever. If we were actually, Rob, you want to try to do like a Wonder Twins thing? Wonder if you can scan my QR code over the camera.
I can try.
Veilid Chat. Okay. Are we already connected? I don't think so. Okay, so here's a pretty cool demo, right? Is that I'm gonna make a new invite for Rob. Now I'm gonna do this like in the wrong way, right? In a minute, I'm gonna like hold up a QR code to my camera and Rob's gonna scan it with his, right? What I should do is I should pick either the PIN or the password option first. And like I make a PIN and I would send that PIN to Rob over a DM or a signal or something, right? And then I could hold the QR code up and anyone could scan it if they wanted to, but if they didn't have the PIN number, it'd be useless to them, or the password, it wouldn't unlock. So we have those features built in. But for now, we're just going to do this the wrong way. So let's see if it does enough resolution on that. Hey, are you trying it, Rob? I need some feedback here. My arm's getting tired.
I'm even trying it, and it's not scanning. I think it's due to movement. If there's any way you could like lay the phone down.
Here, let's do this. Okay, so then the alternate method is you hit the copy ID.
Oh, it finally scanned for me.
Oh, yeah, it wouldn't scan for me.
Okay, so if you scanned it, then you're accepting it. And I'm sorry, it's 8:05. Is it like Do we need to shut down or anything, or?
It
No,
might have.
we don't have
It,
a hard deadline.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some of the back end stuff that just happened on here is I hit create invitation. So my node traversed its safety route, found a node out there to establish the DHT record on for this chat. In that record, it included a one-time use writer's key. No, I'm sorry, I got that backwards. In the QR code, there is a one-time use password that can be used to unlock that DHT record. It's encrypted on that anonymous host, right? So then when someone else scans my QR code, they're getting the node ID or the record ID of that DHT so they can search in the network and find it. And they're getting that one-time use password. So then they find the record, they use the password to unlock it, they add their own writer key material to it, and then republish it. And now they also are grabbing the information they need to be able to create the the symmetric key for the chat, right? So now they can sign and encrypt stuff onto the DHT record that only the original my node could read. And that's how the chat works. You're just appending to it using that secret, and only you two can read the actual things going on in the chat. Now, so if it had, so did it work? Who scanned it? I didn't see who did it.
That was me. So
Okay.
here's the deal, and it's kind of weird. It did scan the QR code and come up with a result, but it linked me to not what it was supposed to link to. And I'm really surprised that happened with the way error correction and stuff like that works. And I mean,
Now, were you scanning it with a Veilid Chat app?
no.
Okay,
No.
that's why.
I was trying to scan it, with a QR code.
Yeah, it won't do anything.
Okay.
No, the Veilid Chat app has a QR code scanner built into it.
Yeah, we can try again if you want to hold it up. It just doesn't seem to want to scan.
It's probably us, our scanner probably doing it. But yeah, anyway, so all that would happen there would be that invitation would disappear. On Rob's side, he would see the TC wants to connect with you message. He'd hit OK. One of the reasons we're doing things in this exchanging kind of way is if you don't want to talk to somebody, if you delete the contact, that's the same as a block. If you delete contact with them, they can't contact you anymore, and you can't contact them anymore, and it's just done. The only way you can reestablish communication with that person is to share a new invitation. So a very, very intentional thing you have to do that can't be accidentally done. When we grow this out to a wider chat platform where group chats exist, right? If someone in the group chat is kind of creeping, they can't just DM you out of nowhere, because again, you don't have that record. There's no way. It's not that they can't find you and there's some hack to make them find you. You don't have that established shared record anywhere that required both of you to take action to create. So you can't spam people on a Veilid app. You can't send unsolicited stuff on a Veilid app. You can't. There's just no functional way to do it.
So how would a group chat work though? If you're already just doing that between two given nodes, how would you have nodes be sharing that same secret together? Or are they all sharing the same secret together?
It all computes out. It's almost like a Diffie-Hellman type of situation, but for multiple participants. But yes, that group chat is just a DHT record. So we all might have the shared secret to append to that log, but we don't have that same data to append to a different log that's just you and me.
Okay, so I can have one between you and me, but there's also a separate one that's being kept track of between myself and say the group one.
Right.
And then other people also happen to have that one, but okay, that makes sense. All right.
That kind of that kind of answered my question,
Okay.
and it was so how taking your example, a group chat, how would that stop a man in the middle attack?
Good question. So on the wire, we feel the encryption we're using is pretty strong, so we're okay with that. But even though the chat log is being hosted on a node controlled by someone else who might not even be in it or shouldn't be in the chat, all of that information is stored on disk, encrypted by the keys that can only be used by the participants in the chat, not the owner of the node. So there's probably going to be opportunities for people to position themselves to capture traffic. Like for one example, Veilid traffic is very fingerprintable. So as soon as this thing is running in a network, it's probably the only thing talking on 5150 TCP and UDP. The packet size probably is very identifiable. We're not trying to hide the fact that Veilid is being used on a device or a computer. What we're trying to hide is what Veilid is being used for on that device or computer. So you could have three different Veilid based apps on the same machine, Veilid Chat and two other things. And someone could be middling your traffic however they decide to middle your traffic, and they can see that you're using Veilid, but they can't really tell which apps of Veilid you're using. And if it's three copies of the same app, or if it's three different apps, because the traffic all looks the same. So we're hoping things like that make the cost of finding a way to capture traffic in a way that's usable is so high that people are discouraged from doing it.
So in a sense, it is like Tails, in the fact that every Veilid has its own space. I guess you can say.
You mean Tails the operating system?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the same sense that you can't use Tails without like Tor has to connect, so it keeps you from accidentally sending traffic before your encrypted tunnel is set up. It's basically the same in our sense, except we never have the unencrypted part to be afraid of. There is no unencrypted handshake that then upgrades you to an encrypted connection. Everything is encrypted by default from the beginning.
My bad. I do not think I had said that right. When I was talking about Tails, I was talking about how it could containerizes everything.
I have not used Tails since like the first version that released.
Okay.
So I'm pretty unfamiliar with the user side of it. But I am familiar with like Cubes OS that does something like that too, where it sandboxes everything. Is that similar?
Yeah. That is what I was talking about. I just got the names mixed up.
Oh, no worries. There's so many out there. It's
No, they both do it.
Do they?
Okay.
I think so. Well, actually, no. Sorry, no. Cubes does it. I don't think Tails does. Sorry, my bad.
And I think Cubes just merged with Unix or something like that.
Okay.
It's always changing.
Yeah, so I think you can containerize stuff on Tails, but with Cubes, it's actually like enforced.
Yeah.
Has there been any like movement, from inside you guys to like come up with a plan to try and incentivize running nodes, and also fund, running, your back end, even though that portion itself, does not cost a lot?
I mean, we're just kind of leaning on people's desire to do something good, and or even just be at the forefront of something changing. we stayed away from like I said, the proof of work type stuff that if you run a node that a coin might pop out on occasion. Um, yeah, right now it's just us asking nicely is I guess the main way we're doing it.
I think that's a pretty good filter
Right.
to use. It attracts a certain type of community.
Yeah, and for the headless nodes, the way those help right now is we ask people to set those up as inbound capable so that new inbound connections can come in on 5150 so that nodes can find each other. We do have NAT traversal. Veilid works just fine behind NAT, which is good because we're designing things mobile first, and cell phones are always behind NATs of one kind or another. So NATs don't bother us except for the fact that new inbound connections over RPC to do things like DHT caching stuff can't happen from behind a NAT. Yeah, right now we're relying on people to make those nodes, headless nodes, but we're also hoping that, there comes a day where we discover a method to live behind NAT and still be able to do all the same things as an inbound capable node could do, and then we get rid of the need for those volunteer nodes altogether. Has anyone seen Silicon Valley?
Yeah, that's a good show. Very accurate. It's the tropes, the Silicon Valley tropes that they pull out are I've definitely seen evidence of those exact same things happening in real world companies.
I asked because this is one of the few conversations I've been in like this with David where someone hasn't said, "So have you heard of Pied Piper?" Because yes. So funny story on that is when Kate and I first met Dildog, this guy, and I might be phrasing this the wrong way, but like this guy's just brain's so big that he wrote the first like retargetable decompiler, like single language purpose-built decompilers existed, I guess, before then, and he based his work off of research. Um, I forget the lady's name. I could look it up. But she laid the groundwork for it. But he's like, how do I take something compiled and make it back to binary, regardless of the language? And that's the brain we're working with here, right? Um, so we discovered that he didn't watch TV. Doesn't watch TV, right? He wakes up and he codes and he codes and he codes. He's got a family. He's a family stuff, right? But in the family's bed, codes, just codes all the time. That's all he did, right? And Kate and I decided that we needed to be very active in helping him avoid burnout in this project because it's very, very important, right? So one of the first times he was describing this to me, I said, "Oh, so like Pied Piper." Like I was the first person to make the joke. And he goes, "What's that?" Because like I said at the beginning, he spent like a year or something looking for other projects that were already doing the thing that he thought of, right? And I was like, "Oh, like Pied Piper." And he's like, what?" And I was like, "Oh, you remember like in Silicon Valley?" He's like, you mean the show?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "I don't watch TV." And Caitlin and I were like, "Now you do." And so what we'll do is we'll pick out a show, and Kate and I are here in Alabama. Dildog is off in his state, and we just like in a text be like, "All right, click play," and we were watching the show at the same time. So first show we had him watch was Silicon Valley, and then we got to the final like season or 2 seasons or whatever, and he goes, "Oh, I get it now." So like we tell people, yes, we are very, very similar to Pied Piper, but we are not going to take over refrigerators to bootstrap the network.
Or try to find like the best way to deal with an entire audience in 10 minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, we watched. Gosh, we've been doing that now for like 4 years. Where many nights a week, it's like hey, everyone's been working really hard. Let's watch some show, and just coordinate when we push play, and chat about it. Keep him from burning that motivation out, and we can change the world.
I like how your Discord server has a rule of don't make us create a new rule because of you.
So I mentioned that me and Caitlin and Dildog were the first three folks working on this. When we formed the nonprofit, I specifically stayed off of like the board and stuff because we didn't want me and Caitlin on the board. We thought that would look kind of weird. So we needed a trusted third person to come in, who we knew, and we knew they would have the best interest of the project at heart, and they had the same mission. And we were already very good friends with the Gibson over on hackers.town. So hackers.town is a pretty well-ran, healthy Mastodon group. And he runs that group, and that's one of their rules. He first wrote that rule over there on their community standards. So he brought it over to Veilid. Well, like I said, I'm generally always available on the Discord to chat. We do have those day jobs that we still maintain, so I'm a pen test manager now, and
Nice.
I have 14 hackers that I try to keep healthy and thriving, and I'm also the head of IT at my company. So
Nice.
I might not answer that much during the day, but in the evenings I'm generally available. Am I hiring? Not at the moment. Like many consultancies, we're waiting for the year to kind of kick off while our customers are getting their spending plans together and stuff. So once we understand what our capacity is for the year, we might open some jobs up around Q2 or so.
It can't hurt to ask, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in and doing this presentation for us. We really appreciate your time and
Yeah, this is awesome.
putting this together.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Like I said, I could
Yeah.
do this. I could do a 5-day seminar on this, and we still wouldn't cover the whole thing.
We appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you everybody for coming. We appreciate you, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Our online meetings are always on the second Thursday of the month at 8 p.m. And our next in-person is likely going to be on the 28th at City Hall. So we're the first DC group at City Hall.
Oh, nice.
It's cool. Yeah, it's kind of cool. So.
City Hall.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everybody.
I wonder if at a City Hall, the if Defcon rules apply about hacking the local infrastructure.
Oh no, yeah, no. Let's don't do that.
At Defcon, the rule loosely seems to be don't do anything to the gaming network. Everything else is kind of a free-for-all.
All right. So if you want to keep chatting, we do have a Discord, and so you can jump in there and chat amongst yourself. But I'm going to end this meeting. Thank you all.
Bills. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks.